Good morning, distinguished legislators and community stakeholders. I'm Alexi Perez. Thank you for being with us here today. I am a voter in Florida's 25th Congressional District and work for the Autism Society of Florida. My husband and I have 4 children who are my life and inspire my advocacy. I am here on behalf of my 19-year-old daughter, Zofia, an established entrepreneur with Down syndrome and autism. She is also a registered voter and wants to be sure that I tell you that she is an awesome self-advocate. Sophia designs and sells sensory wands that provide immersive experiences for sensory seekers to busy their hands and free their minds. She contributes to our state's economic success through meaningful and gainful self-employment, a viable employment outcome as specified in the Florida statutes, section 413.20. My cohorts and I are part of this year's Partners in Policymaking, which is funded by Florida Developmental Disabilities Council, and testify today in support of passing legislation making it a state requirement for all employment support professionals to become certified employment support professionals, or CESPs. There are more than 3,150 CESPs in the United States and only 4 actively certified CESPs in Florida. This industry standard credential professionalizes the field by implementing current best practices and elevating work development. The Association of People Supporting Employment First, APSE, created the CESP certification in response to the increasing demand for a system to identify trained, experienced employment specialists. One benefit of the program is to ensure job seekers with disabilities have access to qualified professionals who have shown competency in best practices and who are continuing to pursue additional professional development in the maintenance of their credentials. The program also secures that provided services are being done safely and ethically. Ohio leads nationally with over 500 certified CESPs. Justin Blumhorst, Ohio's APSE co-president, says, to have a stable workforce in the future, we need to have a great certificate program to show the government and other funding sources that we have workforces that meet the demands of today and have quality certificates to be able to provide people with excellent services. But why make CESP certification a requirement now? The nation is preparing to eliminate remaining contracts issued by Section 14C of the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938, which authorizes employers who have the certificate to pay sub-minimum wages to workers with disabilities. With 24 certificates still in effect in Florida, individuals with disability will inevitably be forced to look for competitive jobs in the community once those contracts are eliminated, and need properly trained and certified employment professionals to assist them. Last year, the Disability Innovation Fund awarded a 5-year grant to Florida's Division of Vocational Rehabilitation to increase competitive employment for people with disabilities in our state. CESP certification legitimizes and enhances professionalism in the field as our state phases out of sheltered workshops and Section 14C certificates and phases into competent and credentialed support employment services that are tied to real jobs for real pay with real outcomes and real economic prosperity for all job seekers with disabilities living in Florida. Thank you.
Thank you, policymakers, for letting us speak with you here today. I'm Zasha Mickey. I'm from Orlando, Florida, and I'm a mom to 2 kids, including an awesome 12-year-old named Cole, who is autistic. Cole is my why for being here today. Cole loves Sonic the Hedgehog, root beer, his favorite class is math, and he's proud to tell you that he's a 2nd-degree black belt in martial arts. Although he's only 12, I often worry about his future. Is he going to have a partner and friends when I'm gone? Will he have the chance to become the valued and productive member of society that I know he can be? A vital ticket into security and well-being in our society is the ability to get a good job. In Florida, employment for the disabled is a pretty worrying prospect. Like Cole, I sometimes enjoy numbers, so bear with me while I share with you a few statistics on this subject. A 2019 survey of employment agencies for disabled individuals showed that only 9% were participating in competitive integrated employment in Florida. That's compared to a national average of 22%. We are the 5th lowest state of the 46 that were in this survey. On top of that, states such as Tennessee, Alabama, and South Carolina have roughly double the competitive integrated employment rate of Florida. This would never be tolerated in our college football. The National Core Indicators Survey also showed that typical wages are less than $11 an hour for these individuals in Florida, and most don't work full-time. Therefore, it's not surprising that the poverty rate for disabled working-age individuals in Florida is 23.7% in 2018, according to a study done by Cornell University. This is a diverse group of individuals with many talents and skills to offer our state, and we need to do better. As Alexi mentioned, there are currently only 4 active certified CESP professionals working in the state of Florida. That's compared to Ohio that has over 500 certified job coaches and roughly triple the integrated employment rate of Florida. Pennsylvania has also noted in 2020 that after they increased certification requirements, that year, competitive integrated employment increased 3%. Certification is relatively cost effective. It's $199 for the initial certification to be completed and $125 for recertification every 3 years. Vocational rehab, or VR, could cover the costs of this certification for their job coaches, their vendors, working as job coaches. These resources are out there. The Florida VR returned $18 million in 2018, the federal money that was unused. They also returned 6.4 unused federal dollars in 2019 and 21.5 in 2020. This money, there's no good reason not to keep this money in Florida and put it to good use for our community. We could also use the money that we were awarded for the 5-year grant to phase out the 14C sub-minimum wage sheltered workshops to help train the many job coaches that are going to be needed as these workshops go away or phased out. Therefore, I urge you to please pass a requirement requiring all job coaches to be CESP certified so that we can help provide our disabled individuals with better employment opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Zasha. Good morning, legislators, dignitaries, aides, and fellow classmates. Before I begin, I want to start by asking the body a question. What is your dream? What is your dream? Hello, everyone. My name is Sergio Cruz, and I hail from sunny Southwest Florida, the Fort Myers area to be exact. And I'm the father of arguably one of the greatest 12-year-olds to ever do it, my son, Elijah Cruz. Elijah is diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder alongside a slew of other accompanying medical conditions. He's what they still define as nonverbal. And although Elijah may not communicate in the traditional sense of spoken word, he does speak. And I'm always quite amazed at the things he says and choices he makes when given the opportunity. A lot of those times, especially more recently and frequently, I find myself wrong in regards to what I think he would choose or ask for in a given situation. See, even as parents, we often project our fears, our needs, our thoughts, our wants, our ideas onto our children. We fail to put the person first, or child first in this instance, in our thought process and decision making. And it's this person first thinking that enables success from the beginning. See, even your average person wants to do something they love, to do something they care for and have interest in. All dreams, especially in regards to employment, career, or work, usually embody that one common bond. We all dream to enjoy what we do, to feel purpose and have meaningful employment. The data is showing and has shown for decades that this isn't the case with a good majority of our community with disabilities. The numbers are staggering at the levels of unemployment amongst those with developmental disabilities, and flat growth in employment has been the status quo for decades. While there are established services and funding being put towards this issue, it must be treated as an epidemic. I believe one of the key components missing in this mission of meaningful employment and long-term success begins at the grassroots levels of employment services, like job coaching, job training, and job placement. See, currently a good chunk of the funding for persons with disabilities goes towards these services, oftentimes under the entity vocational rehabilitation, which in turn attempts to provide those services through employment support or services personnel, most often in the form of a job coach. And what data and feedback from individuals and families who deal with and navigate this conundrum have said is that the implementation of those services is where the proverbial ball is dropped. I believe that that's where there is an opportunity for us as a state to build a bridge to fill that gap. Oftentimes I've been told by clients of these services or from their representatives that many of these job coaches oftentimes place the client in a workplace environment that is not desired, not appropriate, forms no meaning or purpose, and it isn't conducive to success. The CESP, better known as the Certified Employment Support Professional Certification, is an amazing start to building that foundation to that bridge I spoke of. What the certification does is it creates a standard. It sets a bar, a minimum requirement and/or qualification. The certification provides employment support personnel with the current best practices and allows them to possess the full range of skills needed to assist individuals with disabilities in order to succeed in employment. Certifications are valid nationwide, and they're not only recognized as a symbol of quality, but as pride. The certification is encompassed with many principles, one rooted in person-first thinking, which puts the client first and builds off the client's wants, the client's needs, the client's dreams. This focal point is key in successful placement and long-term gainful employment amongst individuals with disabilities, because the old ways of just placing a client in any setting that will tolerate them are being deemed unemployable altogether. It needs to be a thing of the past if we were to ever make any headway. Will it take time and effort on all fronts? Yes. Will it take committed funding and allocation from the state? Yes. Will it mean thousands of professionals getting qualified? Yes. And will it take ingenuity to develop a plan of implementation? Yes. But for those of you who are fiscally inclined will know that the data has always shown that those individuals who have shown success navigating the system and finding meaningful and gainful employment have actually been less of a burden on resources and finances long term. It's a long-term investment with a phenomenal ROI. One success is oftentimes linked to independence and empowerment. So let's start that culture change and stop checking boxes and start asking questions. Now, before I leave, think about the question I posed at the beginning of my time. What is your dream? Aren't we deserving to have a say in our lives? Aren't we all deserving to dream? But more importantly, aren't we all deserving to dream our own dream? Thank you, and I yield my time.
Thank you so much, Sergio. That was awesome. Good morning, committee members and legislators. Thank you for your time. My name is Jaritza, and I reside in Florida's 9th Congressional District and City of Kissimmee, Florida. I'm an entrepreneur, a constituent, and a proud mother of 2 boys who have both been diagnosed with autism. I'm here today on behalf of my 2 autistic sons who happen to be incredibly talented individuals. My youngest son, Asayas, is 8 years old, and my oldest, Ishmael, is 24 years old. As my sons have grown older, I find myself constantly worrying about their future, wondering if they'll ever have the opportunity to get a meaningful career, and if they'll find competitive employment where they can be financially self-sufficient. Like many parents who have children with disabilities, I worry because I know that I won't always be there for them. Former U.S. Senator Tom Harkins said, "We recognize that, like all people, people with disabilities have unique talents, abilities, and aptitudes, and America is better, fairer, and richer when we make full use of those gifts." As Senator Harkins recognizes, people with disabilities are valuable members of our community, and they also possess unique skills and talents that enrich our country and can support our nation. Yet in Florida, it's these citizens that have higher rates of unemployment, are paid sub-minimum wages, lack diverse job opportunities, and receive limited job preparation. Today, I'd like to share with you a little bit about my oldest son, Ishmael, and his journey working with employment support professionals in the state of Florida. Ishmael has always been passionate about film, television, and the gaming industry. Throughout his last 2 years in high school, he was part of his school news team where he worked behind the camera to broadcast the morning news. He loves connecting with people and engaging with them, and more importantly, sharing their stories. It became his passion and his dream job. After high school, Ishmael wanted to join a vocational training program in journalism and film in hopes to start a career in the industry. However, as he transitioned through Florida vocational rehabilitation, we were discouraged and soon discovered that he didn't qualify for assistance in vocational studies due to his lower than average IQ score. Instead, our VEERS agency helped us connect with an employment support service professional to help Ishmael with getting a job. The employment specialist was supposed to provide my son with job coaching, job placement, and on-the-job training that focused on his skills, talents, and past accomplishments. Unfortunately, after 3 years and working with 4 different employment support providers, my son did not secure a job using their services, and they did not deliver on that support. Since 2011, in our nation, there are 14 states who have successfully promoted the Certified Employment Support Professional Credential, known as CESP. The purpose is to increase focus on competitive integrated employment and workforce innovation. A few of the well-known benefits for disabled individuals who connect with a CESP certified job coach include collaborating with professionals who are highly trained in career exploration and job development, more opportunities for salary and career advancement, and high job satisfaction for both employees and the supportive businesses. In addition, the confidence that they're partnering with credible and trustworthy professionals in the field. As my cohort Sasha and Alexei mentioned, in the entire state of Florida, there are only 4 people who are CESP certified. We must do better. I encourage you to support the passing of legislation to mandate CESP certification for all employment support professionals in the state of Florida, so people with disabilities like my son can look forward to building successful careers and a brighter future. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Tony Himmerly, and I hail from the state of Florida, Congressional District 4, in the great city of Jacksonville. In the summer of 2021, my wife Holly blessed me with our 5th child. Her name is Charlotte, and she was born with trisomy 18, spina bifida, and Chiari malformation. Clearly, this was a lot for my wife and I to take and absorb at the time. From day one, however, we became Charlotte's unrelenting advocates. 19 months later, here I am, continuing to advocate on behalf of Charlotte and our newly adopted disabled community. This brings me to why I'm here today. We are requesting that the legislature propose and ultimately codify that all, and I stress the word all here, employment support professionals and any employment support service provider become credentialed with the already mentioned CESP. The CESP will be a much needed tool to use in an already beleaguered toolbox. All, and again I stress this word all, employment support professionals working with any sort of funding mechanism received federally or through state coffers should be required to obtain the CESP. Mandating this requirement will add value and consequential interaction between VR, employment support service providers, and our disabled community that is searching for and striving for meaningful employment. A previous speaker this morning made a statement that really should have an impact for all here today. As the federal government doles trillions of dollars out each year nationwide, the state of Florida's VR returned a staggering amount, if we do the math correctly, from 2018 to 2020, over $45 million went back to the federal government. Evidently, that money was not needed. Our disabled individuals deserve and crave gainful and meaningful employment. I'm all for fiscally responsible stewardship with our tax dollars. However, surely a small portion of the $45 million should have been put to better use, with shoring up and enhancing the programs that are supposed to be helping the disabled community find and maintain meaningful employment. Also included in previous testimony this morning, there was mention of the state of Florida being ranked the 5th lowest out of 46 states surveyed as it relates to employment agencies participating in competitive integrated employment. Let's think about that for a moment. We are the 5th lowest state in the nation, meaning that we are ranked 41. States like Pennsylvania and Ohio are ranked number 1. Let that sink in for a minute. In closing, I encourage you, I implore you to please consider formulating and codifying that all employment support professionals, and again, I stress the word all here, obtain their CESP designation. We can and should do better as a state supporting disabled community with meaningful employment opportunities. They deserve better. We must do better. This concludes our employment presentation for this morning. Thank you for the opportunity to present, and if there's any questions you may have, please feel free to ask them.